time for the sequel to what is currently my most viewed countdown, the top 10 hardest first bosses in gaming. This time, I'm going to make a list of my top 10 favorite first bosses in gaming. I know I said my next countdown would be top 10 worst boss fights, but I lost the script for it and that countdown will have to wait a couple months. Now they have to be the first boss in the game, so it still qualifies even if you face a mini-boss before it. And they can't be in a game where you play as different sides of the story. Let's stop rambling and start the video. The Kingdom Hearts series have probably the best designed bosses in any franchise ever. But, ironically enough, the first bosses aren't all that special. The first Darkside fight? Not bad, but kind of lame compared to the second one. Guard Armor from Chain of Memories? Good, but just a remake of the original boss. Twilight Thorn? Starts out fun but then gets annoying. Guardian? Just a supersized watcher with slight battle differences other than its health difference. Birth by Sleep doesn't really have a first boss because you play as 3 different characters. Hako Monkey? Annoying! So the only one left is the first boss of my pick for the worst game in the series. Darkside from Recoded. This is a clone of the second fight with him in the original Kingdom Hearts, but at the same time, a pretty good boss. Because the bug blocks are admittedly a really cool thing about this game, despite how the rest of the game is utter garbage. It starts out as the same fight from the original, except with a few of those bug blocks, and when you deliver the final blow, it seems like the fight is over, but it isn't. In the second phase, he can shoot danger blocks out and has some bug blocks on his arm whenever he punches, and you gotta destroy them. In the final phase, you need to defeat the remaining bug blocks, and the one you must destroy is being surrounded by danger blocks, and you need to attack them in order to be able to reach the main one. The Darkside fight in Recoded proves that even a bad game can at least have something good about it. Valus from Shadow of the Colossus. Like I said, my hardest first bosses list is quite hard, at least for newcomers. It's still a great way to begin the game. The Colossi themselves are defeated in almost the exact same way every time, but Valus is a great introduction while it lasts. Like I said in my hardest first bosses list, Valus is not only your first boss in the game, but your first enemy in the game. In order to hurt it, you need to shoot it with your arrows, then climb up it and stab the bleeding parts to get the opportunity to climb higher on it. There are some parts on its back that let you rest before your grit meter runs out, but it might try to shake you off, so grab onto its back whenever it tries to do this. And after killing it, you'll feel both a mixture of satisfaction and guilt. Ordinarily, these feelings would cancel each other out, but in context of this game, it's actually possible to feel both at the same time. One really neat thing about the first gym in Pokemon Black and White is how there are 3 different gym leaders, but you only get to face one of them. You will face whichever one has a type advantage against your starter. Oshawott players face Silent, Snivy choosers are up against Chili, and Tepic fans have to deal with Cress. All 3 of them have 2 Pokemon. The first one's always a Lillipup, and the second one is either Pansage, Pansear, or Panpour, depending on your starter. Sounds cheap? Well, a trainer in the Dream Yard will give you one of 3 elemental monkeys which has the type advantage against their elemental monkeys, making it a more fair match. The reason it's number 8 is because it kind of had some wasted potential. I mean, why couldn't it have been a triple battle? This is a perfect opportunity to introduce the triple battle mechanic, but no. Heck, the badge they give you is called the Trio Badge, so what's their excuse? To be fair, you get to do something like that in Black and White too, which is awesome, but I want to face them in an actual triple battle. Well, hopefully someday in a future game they'll find a way to make it a triple battle, and even if they don't, it's still a good fight. Sonic's had some pretty awesome bosses, but their first bosses, well, not that they're bad, except not as good as others. Then we have Ghost Rex. Like other bosses in the Sonic Rush games, the fight with Ghost Rex has some 3D capabilities in it despite being a side-scrolling game. This beast will try to repeatedly lunge at you and slam its head into the ground, and when it does that, attack the jewel on its head. The Ghost Rex will also go around to the other side of the platform, causing you to turn. But once you take out half of its health, it'll shake the ground, destroying your platform and sending you into the ground. Here, you will begin to attack faster, and both the top screen and bottom screen will be used for the battle until you deliver the final hit on it, which is very satisfying. Gohma is the first boss of Wind Waker, and while it's admittedly a pathetic boss fight, heck, it's easier than the fight in Ocarina, it's a very fun boss fight. To hurt this boss, let's see what you do. Instead of attacking it, you must lock onto Valu's tail on the top of the room and then swing off of it so a stone will drop on Gohma's head and shatter part of its shell. This makes Gohma pathetic since it won't get that much hits on you, but that also makes the boss unique. By the way, did I mention there are even some cutscenes for whenever you get a hit on it? After breaking its outer skeleton 3 times, all you do now is grapple its eye and then slash it with your sword. It's an easy boss, but definitely an enjoyable boss fight. Another example of a boss fight that is easy, yet awesome. The Berserker Lord will shoot phasing on you as well as punching you and hitting you with its shockwaves. After you defeat the spots on its shoulders, the Berserker Lord will shoot projectiles at you, and you must shoot them back at him. Hitting an enemy's attacks back at them is nothing special, but the fact you shoot them before they even reach you is what makes this boss special. Though some projectiles are red and impossible to deflect. After you reflect enough attacks, the phasite plate will be destroyed, exposing its weak spot, giving you the opportunity to let him have it. It's incredibly satisfying. I don't care if it comes back later in the game. It's still a great boss. Wispy Woods isn't exactly the most threatening boss in the series. He's almost always a pushover. He has some good fights like in Kirby 64 and Return to Dreamland, but it's not a good sign when a flowery clone of him puts up a better fight. First thing you should know, a tiny little flower was turned into this. How do you even? Flowery starts out as a normal Wispy fight, but like some of the Wispy fights, it has a second phase. How does this phase play out? It jumps into the background. Yes, you heard that right. He can actually jump. This boss will try to launch some of its attacks at you from out of the background, and even some of its roots, and sometimes clap them together. While it's attacking you from the background, attack its roots to get some extra damage in, or avoid them until Flowery Woods jumps back in. But either way, this is a great boss, and it'll show you that you're in for some great boss battles for the rest of Kirby Triple Deluxe. The armored Mauldead from Pikmin 3 is quite big, and it will crawl around the area. It will attempt to trap the Pikmin with its mandibles, and it will try eating some of your Pikmin. During this, throw your rock Pikmin onto its back and break its armor. This will expose its weak spots and make it stop hurting your other Pikmin to attack you. Breaking glass in this game is already really fun to do, but when they're your main method of killing a boss, that's a formula for a good fight. Another way is to attempt to break off its mandibles and making it have trouble eating your Pikmin, and if you land a Pikmin on its eyes, it will get blinded and go crazy. That's something you don't see a lot in boss fights. Once it loses some armor, it will crawl on the walls. When it's off screen, you can see where it is by looking on the map on the gamepad, or see where small wood chips are falling. After the armored Mauldead is defeated, it will cough up a cell phone, allowing you to gain access to the next area. You guys remember 4 years ago when Alex and Josh made their top 15 most disturbing bosses in games? You probably remember the Spider Queen. This boss is creepy, and yet very enjoyable at the same time. Sometimes the Spider Queen will shoot an egg-shaped object which releases a lot of poison. Avoid it by power slashing it, which will temporarily paralyze the Spider Queen. Now you see a lot of hooks by her, which you'll use to attach to the vines to reveal an eyeball flower on its back. Yeah, that's disturbing. Try to attack a lot until it starts to shake, or else you'll take powerful damage. Though sometimes you can just see the vines without having to wait for her to shoot the projectile, the Spider Queen is overall very good to face. Hopefully this choice doesn't seem too random, but here it is. My number one favorite first boss in video games is Bowser from Super Mario 3D World. You face him in a hot rod, showing that Bowser knows how to fight in style. The music is very cool to listen to. Bowser will throw some bombs at you, which you'll need to kick them back at him in order to deal damage to him. The area where you fight him is an auto-scrolling highway, making it an even cooler battle. Kind of dumb for him to shoot his weaknesses at you, but the fight itself makes up for that. He'll also spit fire at you to hinder your progress and create fire puddles. If you take too long to beat him before he reaches the end of the stretch, he'll jump to another stretch and you'll use a warp block to warp to him. There's even a part where the car will jump onto two walls and ride on the sides of them. Wanna know how you can make this fight even more interesting? Try facing him while using Peach. See this as Peach's first opportunity in a main series game to finally get revenge on Bowser for kidnapping her all those years. I don't know exactly what will make this my favorite first boss. I guess it's the overquality of the boss fight that makes it my favorite first boss in gaming.